Imagine walking into like the most elaborate, expensive, just meticulously planned party you have ever seen.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm picturing it.
Right. The music is incredible. The lighting is flawless. And sitting right in the middle of the room is this towering multi-billion-dollar cake. It is a total masterpiece of engineering.
Sounds amazing.
It is. But then you turn to the person next to you and ask, whose birthday are we actually celebrating? And they just stare at you. Nobody knows. They just know it's a very, very expensive party.
That is, it's an incredibly strange phenomenon. You have this massive global infrastructure, all this celebration, but zero actual purpose defined for the people attending. The occasion itself is completely missing.
Exactly. And welcome to today's deep dive. We are exploring that bizarre disconnect today. Because right now, the entire world is pouring trillions of dollars into baking this massive AI cake. But no one seems to know whose birthday it actually is.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
So today's sources come from this really insightful newsletter piece by EntropyBI. It was published on June 3rd, 2026. And it's titled, Jensen Baked the Cake Stack. But nobody ordered a birthday in Taiwan.
Which is such a great title, honestly. And the authors take us from the absolute highest levels of global hardware manufacturing down to the very specific, very human anxieties of trying to deploy this technology in a regular business.
Right. And to you listening right now, if you've been watching this unstoppable boom in AI hardware, like the surging stock market and the endless headlines, and you felt this profound anxiety because you cannot figure out how you are actually supposed to use it in your daily work.
Oh, totally. That feeling of being left behind.
Exactly. If you felt that, this deep dive is going to give you a massive aha moment. That's our mission today. So to understand the disconnect, we need to start at the absolute peak of the celebration.
The party itself.
Yep. The authors drop us right into the Taipei Music Center on June 1st, 2026. It is standing room only. Thousands of people, the AI faithful, are making a literal pilgrimage to watch NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang unveil his grand vision for the industry.
It functions essentially as a rock concert for Silicon, The hometown hero returns to Taiwan to lay out the architecture of the future, and the crowd is just absolutely mesmerized.
They really are. But the authors of the EntropyBI piece argue that to truly understand the subtext of what Jensen is building on that stage, we have to look at what he is defending himself against.
Right. The context matters.
It does. So we have to rewind to a tense moment from an April interview. And just as a quick disclaimer here, we're going to touch on U.S.-China geopolitics, but we are absolutely not taking a side on this.
Right. We're just outlining the arguments from the source material.
Exactly. Just impartially exploring the ideas. So Jensen sat down for an interview with the podcaster Dwarkesh Patel. And Patel fearlessly challenged Jensen's worldview, using this very heavy, very specific comparison. He basically compared NVIDIA's advanced chips, the actual hardware driving this entire revolution, to enriched uranium.
Wow. Yeah, because Patel is arguing from a pure national security standpoint. He frames this as a literal nuclear arms race.
Right.
He's suggesting that if these highly advanced AI chips reach China, they could be used to train a super intelligent AI that's capable of launching devastating zero-day cyber attacks on America. So from his perspective, the raw compute power is a direct threat.
But Jensen operates from a completely different paradigm. The text notes he actually lost his cool during the interview. He called that perspective a loser mindset.
A loser mindset, yeah. That's strong.
Very. He argued that if we follow that enriched uranium logic, then basic CPUs, DRAM, and even raw electricity should be classified as weapons and banned from export.
Because America sells enormous quantities of those fundamental technologies globally.
Right. He is essentially asking, why is nobody treating electricity like a munition?
Well, it highlights a massive philosophical divide, right? Treating general-purpose compute power as a weapon creates this whole cascade of logical fallacies when it comes to global trade.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because is the nuclear analogy just inherently flawed on a basic physical level? I mean, uranium has exactly one primary physical destiny, right?
To explode, basically.
Exactly. It is designed to explode or create weapons-grade heat.
Yeah.
You can put a padlock on a barrel of uranium and track it onto satellite. But compute power, like electricity, is a fundamental utility.
It's agnostic.
Yeah, it's designed to calculate, to build, to power a hospital just as easily as a military server. It feels a little absurd to equate a live grenade to the concept of the power grid.
What's fascinating here is that this tension highlights a fundamental misunderstanding of what a technology moat actually looks like. The authors of the piece side with Jensen on this, but they dig into the historical mechanics of why treating technology like a physical weapon, always fails.
Always fails.
Always. Because enriched uranium is a scarce, static, physical object, right? Technology and computing power represent knowledge, and knowledge is fluid. You just can't embargo a physics equation once the underlying concepts are known to the world.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, the peace points to the Cold War as the ultimate proof of this mechanism. The West imposed the strictest possible controls on Soviet nuclear development, absolute embargoes. Yet the Soviets still successfully built the bomb because the foundational physics were already out there in the ether.
And the same mechanism applies to modern silicon. I mean, the U.S. heavily sanctioned the Chinese tech giant Huawei. They enacted complete lockouts from advanced foundries.
Right.
But Huawei still managed to build the Kirin chip anyway. And we saw this play out again recently with AI compute restrictions.
Yes, the DeepSeek example is crucial here. So the goal of the U.S. restrictions was to kneecap China's AI ambitions by limiting their access to massive clusters of NVIDIA GPUs.
Because the assumption was, without the raw power, they couldn't train frontier models.
Exactly. But a Chinese company called DeepSeek built a model architecture that totally shocked Silicon Valley, and they do it using significantly less compute.
Because the constraint actually forced innovation.
Yes.
If you deprive a team of brute force hardware scaling, they have to rethink their algorithmic efficiency. They find like these elegant mathematical shortcuts that they never would have bothered looking for if they had unlimited processors.
The embargo essentially acts as a forcing function that makes them better at the software layer.
Wow. So does this mean harsh blockades actually serve as an unintended catalyst? Like they accelerate innovation in the sanctioned country?
Basically, yeah. And the authors use a brilliant framework to explain this dynamic, drawing on Aesop's fable of the North Wind and the Sun. Do you remember that one?
Roughly. The wind and the sun are arguing over who can make a guy take off his coat, right?
Exactly. So the North Wind and the Sun argue about who can force a traveler to take off his heavy coat. The North Wind blows a freezing, violent storm, but the harder the wind blows,
the tighter the traveler clutches his coat.
Right, it's a defense mechanism. So the harsh trade embargoes are the North Wind. By trying to freeze competitors out, you just force them to build their own internal supply chains. They clutch their own domestic coat tighter.
Well, the sun simply shines warmly, and the traveler just gets hot and voluntarily takes the coat off.
Exactly. In technology, the sun strategy is about building an ecosystem moat. You don't block people, you make the entire world completely dependent on your infrastructure.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, you embed your standards so deeply into their daily operations that they lose all financial and practical incentive to spend billions building an alternative.
So Jensen is frustrated because Dwarkesh is treating a marathon like a grenade. If embargoes just incentivize rivals to build their own hardware ecosystems, the real race isn't about hoarding chips. It's about building an infrastructure so universally useful that no one even wants to leave it.
Exactly.
Which forces us to look at what Jensen is actually building to create that gravity. Let's return to the architecture he unveiled on stage in Taipei, his famous 5-layer cake.
Yeah, the authors note that this 5-layer framework is pretty much the clearest map of the AI industry's heavy machinery right now.
Okay, let's walk through the mechanics of these layers. Layer 1 is energy, the literal power grids. I mean, you can't process billions of parameters without moving massive amounts of electricity.
Right, basic physics.
Then layer 2 is chips, the physical silicon, the GPUs processing the math.
Yeah.
Layer 3 is infrastructure. And this isn't just a server rack. We are talking about cooling pipes, massive data centers, and the networking cables required to link millions of chips together so they can talk without latency.
Those bottom 3 layers are the concrete and steel of the modern era. It is true heavy industry.
So then layer 4 is models, the neural networks themselves, the AI engines trained on all that heavy infrastructure. And finally, layer 5 is applications, the actual software interfaces.
Right.
So Jensen stands in front of this crowd in Taipei, broadcasting to simultaneous watch parties across the country. And he declares that useful AI has arrived. He's basically telling the world that the cake is fully baked.
He credits Taiwan as the ultimate baker of this infrastructure, too. Companies like TSMC, MediaTek, and Foxconn, they provide the finest flour, the most precise ovens, and the most reliable molds. Taiwan is the undisputed beating heart of AI hardware.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The EntropyBI piece points out a massive glaring blind spot in all of this celebration.
And this is the crux of it.
Right. Taiwan might be the center of the hardware, but they are just providing the raw sponge cake. They completely lack the software layer, like the frosting, the decoration, the theme of the party.
Yeah.
Jensen's declaring victory because the physical layers are stacked, but sitting in the audience, the authors had a stark realization. A map is not the territory.
Having layers 1 through 5 is a monumental human achievement, no doubt. But it is fundamentally useless without the business application frameworks to turn that raw compute power into measurable outcomes.
He just remains a display piece sitting on a counter.
Exactly. And this brings us back to that visceral anxiety we discussed at the beginning. It is the feeling of a corporate management team dropping a massively powerful AI integration onto your desk and saying, hey, this is going to revolutionize our workflow.
Right. But when you open the interface, you have absolutely no idea what daily tedious problem it is actually supposed to solve.
Because the technology is moving vastly faster than the business applications.
So the authors argue that what the 5-layer cake is missing isn't a 6th layer of hardware. It is 3 highly specific elements that absolutely no server rack can ever provide. They categorize these missing elements as the candle, the birthday, and the wish.
Yeah, these 3 elements essentially represent the human-to-machine translation layer. Let's look at the mechanics of the first one, the candle.
Okay.
The candle represents a real, tangible use case. The authors are pretty blunt about the corporate fatigue surrounding AI right now. It is entirely meaningless for a company to issue a press release saying they are undergoing AI transformation.
Right. It's just buzzwords.
Exactly. A candle forces specificity. It asks a really painful question. Which specific 3 hours of your sales team's day does this AI eliminate, starting this Monday?
Oh, wow. Yeah. If management cannot point to the exact spreadsheet or the exact drafting process that is being handed over to the machine, the cake just sits in the dark.
Exactly. You need a candle. And the second element is the birthday. This represents urgency and occasion. Why overhaul this specific department today? Why this exact process right now?
Because without a birthday, the initiative just becomes an indefinite pilot program that never scales, right?
Yes, exactly. It's the difference between browsing a real estate app for fun on a Sunday and needing to buy a house because you are moving to a new state next week.
I love that analogy. It's like when you hear a company say, oh, we're looking into integrating AI over the next fiscal year.
Right.
That phrase is a massive red flag. It means the company has no birthday. But the most complex missing element, and honestly the one that causes the most friction for daily users, is the wish.
The wish is instruction design. It is workflow architecture and decision distillation. Like, we hear the term prompt engineering thrown around a lot, right?
All the time.
But what it really means is translating vague human desires into precise mathematical instructions. An AI model might have the computing power of a god, but if your instructions are ambiguous, the output is just hallucinated garbage.
So what does this all mean? A great way to visualize the wish is to imagine you just bought a Ferrari for your daily commute.
Okay.
But you have no idea how to drive a manual transmission.
Oh, no.
The hardware is perfect, right? The engine is a masterpiece, but the wish, the precise input required to make it go, is missing. You're just sitting in a very expensive metal box.
That's a perfect way to put it. Or another way the authors sort of frame it. Imagine your company just hired an army of 10,000 brilliant, tireless interns.
Wow, okay.
But they happen to speak an entirely different language. You have infinite workforce capacity now, but if you walk into the room and just yell, make our supply chain more efficient,
they will create absolute chaos.
Complete chaos. You need a manager who speaks their language to say, parse the Q3 logistics spreadsheet, identify any anomalies in shipping times over 48 hours, and cross-reference them with regional weather data.
Yes. That translation layer, that highly specific, well-architected instruction, that is the wish.
And without the ability to design that instruction, all that massive compute power is wasted. So the biggest gap in the global AI stack is not an energy shortage, and it is not a chip shortage.
Right.
The biggest gap is sitting at the conference room table where end users are staring at this multi-billion-dollar cake, lacking the business logic to actually slice it.
The technical marvel of Jensen's 5 layers basically means nothing if we don't teach the business world how to make a wish.
Precisely.
And the authors of the EntropyBI piece articulate this divide perfectly. If you look at their own backgrounds, it kind of explains why they see this so clearly. They introduce themselves as Vic and Ariel, a husband and wife team operating under the moniker the Curies of BI and AI.
Which is such a profound historical comparison because Pierre Curie built the physical instruments, right? The sensitive electrometers required to measure radiation.
He brought the hardware.
Right. But Marie Curie was the one who designed the experiments. She took those instruments and changed our understanding of physics with what she discovered inside them.
And Vic operates at the bottom of the stack, much like Pierre. He has a decade of experience on factory floors, working in industrial systems and optical inspections. He lives in layers 1 through 3. He essentially builds the ovens.
Right.
While Ariel operates entirely on the top layer, like Marie, she handles business intelligence decision frameworks and AI application design. So while Vic makes sure the cooling systems and chips are functioning, Ariel is looking at the client and forcing them to define their birthday.
They explicitly state that their goal is not to add another layer of sponge to Jensen's cake. Their goal is to light the candle. They are bridging that gap between Taiwan's hardware reality and the corporate world's software strategy.
They even embed this philosophy into the name of their newsletter. Did you catch that?
The entropy part.
Well, the whole name, EntropyBI, is actually derived from an ancient I Ching hexagram.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah, it is the hexagram for fire over fire, which symbolizes clarity, intelligence, and the illuminating light that reveals the patterns hidden deep inside chaotic data.
I love that. And honestly, understanding this dynamic fundamentally shifts how you should view the AI revolution happening around you. The geopolitical race, the 5 layers of hardware, all of that is fascinating, but it is external to your daily life.
Right, you can't control it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The cake is baked. The hardware miracle of our generation has been delivered. The responsibility now shifts entirely to you, the end user.
You have to find your own candle. And the source material leaves us with a really provocative thought to sit with as this technology accelerates.
Yeah.
We know the AI agents are coming, right?
Oh, yeah. They're here.
They will inevitably cross the threshold from being just fun party tricks to actually executing routine workflows. So the question you have to ponder is this. When the interns actually take over the execution, what exactly is your job?
That's the scary part for a lot of people.
Right. How do you rewrite your own key performance indicators when the machine can draft the contract, parse the data, and write the code?
Your value shifts from execution to instruction. The person who thrives in that environment is the person who knows how to ask the best questions. If you cannot redefine your value around designing the wish, your specific skill set will become obsolete.
The party is starting whether we are ready for it or not. So thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Go out there, look at your own workflow, and figure out exactly what you are celebrating.